You're listening to All Things Considered. Oh, that's just too fun. And it's recording. Oh, great. You can send this in to NPR on my behalf if you don't mind.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We're so easily moved in there to the recording.
Yeah. I didn't even notice it happened.
It just happens. These things happen. So first off, are you Mike, Michael? What are we going by?
Mike. Mike is totally cool.
Definitely
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we are in your lovely apartment.
Oh, we are. Yes, it's great to have you here, man. And now today it's a podcast studio. Sometimes it's a painting studio, a photo studio.
It is a menagerie of things.
It certainly is. If you could see beyond the camera here, you would see how actually chaotic it is beyond the frame.
It makes me feel okay about my space.
Yeah?
Because it's just as chaotic.
Yeah,
It's like multiple things in one space. So, that's how things should be.
I think artists perform best when all of their shit's everywhere.
Yes.
You can never be not inspired when there's just nonsense everywhere.
That's true. This is probably, and as we'll suggest, this is probably the best Liz episode because I'm borrowing your equipment to do all of this.
Lighting sponsored by... No, just kidding. It's not, but
Mike's
it could be.
supposed to. Okay, for people at home, who are you?
Who am I? I'm
Big
but a
questions.
man. No, well, I am, but I'm a photographer. I'm a portrait photographer in particular. And what I love to do is photograph interesting people, make them look like $1 million, though you could argue that they already walk in looking that way, and I just kind of pull it out of them.
Excellent.
But more broadly, I would say I'm an artist. I like to make music. I like to make photographs, films, if I have the time. And beyond that, I'm just kind of a chill dude. I'm highly motivated, but very relaxed,
Okay.
And I think that kind of comes out in the things that I do and the people I meet and the work that I put out. And I think that answers...
I feel like you've been asked that question before because it was almost formulaic how you went through that.
Well, I'm glad it came off that way.
Response level. Some people I ask like how they're doing, who they are, and there's an instant breakdown of like, oh no, I hate answering this question.
Well, I have to tell you.
That.
Well, I think this is not my first podcast. It is my second podcast. But
That's true.
Oops, sorry. But my script is actually just off camera. My teleprompter, rather.
But no, that's also so we know each other through previous guest Kavi, but he introduced me to you as photographer Mike. This is Mike. He photographs things. So
That sounds about right.
It became like a very easy, an easy trap for us to fall into. Like at some point we're going to talk,
Right?
Because you're an artist and I'm an artist.
Yes.
So this makes sense to go through and talk through and whatnot.
Yeah, it's only logical that we both know Kevin.
Yeah.
And we're both artists, and so therefore we must also create together.
Yeah.
It's just the way things are.
Have you always done just photography then? Like, was that like your initial byline of like what you wanted to do when you were like a teenager and then became a photographer, so to speak? As your focus?
It's funny. It actually like transformed a couple times. I mean, if you go way back when I was a youngster, like maybe, I don't know, I must have been like 10 or 12, and my mom for Christmas got me this hilarious little, like, it wasn't hilarious at the time, looking back at it was this little blue camera, and it came with no viewfinder or anything like that, just like a optical little like rangefinder thing. And it shot little short films that, and it's like on its onboard memory, and it came with a software that was very much like a bare bones VFX suite, like After Effects, and you could have like explosions and lasers and all these hilarious VFX. Anyway, my mom could have never known this, but that is what started my obsession with cameras, and it eventually became like, oh, Mom, I need a handy cam now. I need to step it up. And as the years would go by, I would go into high school and stuff. It kind of fell to the wayside. I still like goofed around with my buddies and filmed things and took film classes and art classes in high school when I could. But it was never anything that I thought I could make a career out of.
Right.
That didn't happen until, way later. I was shooting photography kind of like very amateur at a very amateur level. And my mom, once again, she loves to. I must be giving her a lot of credit. I do this all the time when someone asks like, "What are your origins?"
Shout out to Mike's mom.
Shout out to Val. You're definitely gonna watch this, Ma. So thank you. And so anyway, fast forward all these years, right? I'm still shooting, but it's nothing really that serious. I was still going to college at the time, so like it wasn't even like a career path. And then one day, my mom. She books a photographer for my sister's Sweet 16.
Right.
And she can't help herself. She goes, "Oh, my son, he shoots photography. I should send you his work." And I'm like, "Ma, don't. It's not like that. It's not that serious. Like, I just do it for fun." And lo and behold, the guy calls me up and he goes, "Hey, your mom told me that you want to get into photography." He goes, "I need an assistant." Damn. So this guy brings me on. And of course, I'm giving you like the Spark Notes abridged version.
Sure.
But he brings me on, and it just changed my life. He literally goes, "Mike, your photography is great, especially considering you've never done this really before."
Yeah.
And he goes, "You got a choice to make, man." He goes, "You either finish college, or you can quit college and just pursue this full time and rock it out."
Damn.
And before that point, no one had ever told me that I could do that was an option.
Yeah.
My parents were all like, "You got to go to school, you got to get a degree, white picket fence, 2 cars in the garage, you know." And that kind of timeline is what like prepped me and primed me.
That's crazy.
To find this. Yeah,
that's crazy as well, because it's like that's almost like one of those stories that like when you watch a biopic and someone's like, "Oh, Jimi Hendrix didn't know he could play guitar," and then one day someone was like, "This guy can play guitar." It's like a lightning in a bottle moment. Just like, you should make a decision.
Yeah, it's all these little things that just kind of lined up so perfectly that you can't predict it or plan for it even.
Yeah.
But I'm super grateful that my mom just can talk anyone's ear off about anything and is so quick. Bless her, she's so quick to like, "Oh, my son does this. Oh, my daughter does that."
That's a valuable lesson as well. I feel like, especially. I mean, I'm completely guilty of this, of my mom just telling people about me and me standing there and be like, "It's not that important, guys. Don't worry about it." Like, she's like, "No, he lives in America." And I'm like, "This doesn't matter, Mom. Like, none of this matters."
But
this guy serving his coffee does not need to know about this in my hometown. She's like, "But he's in she always makes the same joke of like, he could pay you in dollars," and the guy's there like, "What the hell is going on?"
Moms are great for that. Always advocating, always trying to get you that next job or that next lady or guy or whatever the situation is. Like you can always leave it to a good mom to push your resume to the top of the pile for you.
But it's true. It's like your family and your friends become your main advocates. Yeah, completely. And I find that, and I imagine you find that as well with like your various friends of like how we met. It was like, "This is Mike photographs."
Yeah, I would be totally lost without that support system, man. I mean, on one hand, right, in order to pursue an art career, you kind of need to know that if you fail, you're not going to totally land on your ass. Like, you have a support system under you, and I think in many ways it's a privilege. I've always felt privileged that like, oh, I could quit college and go pretend to be a photographer until it's real, and if I fail, like, I have parents that are fantastic and would scoop me up. I have friends that would spiritually lift me up, and it allowed me, and I'm sure many people could say the same thing, but for me, it allowed me to take that leap because I knew that if I fell, there was a net there. And big shout out to my friends too. I mean, all of my friends have been so incredibly supportive, and we're all artists to varying degrees, as you know, and just that like reciprocal support is so damn important. It makes me a little emotional thinking about it, honestly. I've had the same friends since middle school. I've known Kevin for most of my life. Actually, more of my life than I've not known him, Covey, as your viewers might know him. And so just that like deeply steeped friendship and shared love for art is, God, it's everything, man. Yeah. I couldn't do what I do.
That's such a rarity as well. Because I think it kind of like, that kind of situation often slices like 2 ways, where it is really supportive and like really great, and you know everyone lifts everyone else up and encourages everyone else, or you end up in the other pattern, which is you have the same group of friends but no one really changes or improves with their work because everyone tells everyone they're great.
Right.
Like everyone's like, you're doing amazingly, and your friends like meet someone who like, you're like, I can't sing.
Yeah.
Like, can't sing at all.
Yeah.
And all of his friends tell him that they can sing, and you're like, yeah. There's
Well,
like a risk element to it.
Oh, certainly.
It's beautiful, but at the same
and
time,
I think
yeah.
it takes like a level of like brevity on both ends, because it's like you certainly don't want to be gassed up if you're not good at something.
Sure, yeah.
But you know, it takes a good friend to also tell you if you're bad at something, man. Like I would hope someone would have told me. Like I was a singer with Kevin, right, for our band, and I mean, I would have hoped at some point if I weren't any good, they would have kicked me out and told me like, hey, man, get some lessons. Thankfully, that didn't happen, so I was okay in that regard. But you know, it does take a good friend to be supportive when it's time for that, and then like critical when it's time for that. And never had that issue in my life. You know, never had that issue in like I'm sure people have like been like, hey, Mike, this photo could be better, or hey, maybe try this instead. But I've never had someone just kind of be like, yeah, that's great, man. Keep it up.
I feel like I've almost definitely had that, but from people who've just been unfamiliar with my style. It's very much like I don't really understand it, but I want to encourage you. And it's like, yeah, this is great. Oh, to bring it back to mom's, my mom's comment is always like, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, the catch-all. Like,
It's fine, Mom. I can do the translation. Interesting means bad to you.
yeah. I mean, but you know what? Like, at that rate, like, I don't know. I feel like the kind of art you create, it has to be, it's cerebral. And so if you're not, like, ready to do that, like jump into that headspace in game, I think the most you can ask from someone is, like, keep at it, man. That's tight.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like asking, and I'm sure I don't know your mom. Maybe she's an art history major. I have no idea. But I imagine if she's anything like my mom, it would be like, hey, Mom, you're an accountant. Can you write me a 10-page dissertation on who the Dark Lady is in Shakespeare?
Yeah.
That'd be great if you could just have that in by Monday. You know, like that would be like, she could never understand that without the context and having understood the art prior.
Yeah.
So it's that's fun.
I love that analogy. But at the same time, like that actually drives me. Like when I create things, like it's so. See, I create like a fair amount of like abstract fine art stuff, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea, completely intentionally so. So I often meet artists who are like, yeah, like this is what you strive for. You strive for like the purely conceptual, the best of the best, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, but not really. Like what I actually want is I want to make stuff which connects to like everyday people.
Right.
I want to make fine art stuff which everyday people look at and be like, that's cool. Like I like that.
I'm curious to know, like when you have a piece on display and you have this idea of what it is to you and what it means to you, how does it feel for you when someone comes up to you and goes, man, this piece makes me feel insert polar opposite intention?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
That, to me, that outweighs, and I recently spoke to my therapist about this, that outweighs anyone asking me what I think my work's about.
That's cool.
Like someone coming up and be like, I love this. This reminds me of this. It reminds me of this story. I can see this in it. I can see this in it. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's connection with a human being. Whereas when someone asks me, hey, why did you make this? My brain shuts down.
Right.
And I become incredibly uncomfortable.
You're like, why? I'm an artist. Like, that's why I made
it's
it.
Like, it's obvious. It's there on the page.
Yeah.
Like, look at it. I was like, explaining myself? No.
Let it sink in a little.
Tell me what you think it is, and I'll tell you whether you hit the nail on the head.
Right.
And then that'll be great.
Because you can't even be wrong.
No. Yeah.
I mean, it's I know it's so cliche, but art is subjective.
Yes.
But like, we both look at a painting, we take away something different. Like that, therein lies the magic of it, kind of,
Yeah. What's interesting I find about like your work is because you do a heavy amount of portraiture and you've started exploring like video portraits as like I guess why did you start exploring video portraits? That's like a good intro. Let's cut me off.
Yeah, no. So something about me, I am a YouTube buff. Buff is maybe not the word. Absorber. Addict. Yeah, honestly, yeah, that's the right phrasing. I'm a YouTube addict, and I've always loved the magic of film, kind of the same way I appreciate photography. There's just something cool about seeing something you made play out on a screen, the balance of the sounds, if it's motion, the balance of the color, if it's still, though also applies to motion. And I always wanted to be a part of that, and I didn't know how. You know, like my early years, as I said, was a video camera, and so like my earliest, deepest roots are in motion, and I just for years didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do, and I've been working at a very high-end studio for a very famous photographer, and I helped him start a YouTube channel with all these films that he had been making over the course of his career, and help him drip feed them off of YouTube, and I was inspired because here's this guy who's got the most like incredible experience and subjects he's photographed under his belt, and he's starting from scratch on a YouTube channel. And I thought, what the heck is my excuse, man? Like, I've been wanting to do this for so long, and just seeing that playing out and helping facilitate it at work, I was kind of like, well, I want to do this. Like, I understand it now. I'm part of the process, and I feel like I can kind of take this and make it my own. And so I just kind of said, screw it. I'm going to make my life a lot more chaotic. And I'm going to put another set of deadlines on my plate, because why not? I'm just simply not crazy enough.
You're like, I don't have enough pressure or strain in my life. How could I make this worse?
It's
like, I could do algorithm-based things. Great.
And we were just talking off camera that I'm gonna have an issue this month putting out my next video because I just put way too much on my plate, and that's something I need to get under control. You know, because I just do this to myself all the time.
It does take over. Like, even doing this, like this used to be weekly. It was a weekly thing, and I'd do guest me, which meant I was doing 25, 30 guests a year to fit it in, and I would put so much pressure on myself. I have to do this, but the timeline I'd set was arbitrary,
right?
Because it was just whatever I ascribed it to, and then I had to step back and be like, "No, we can do this bi-weekly. Like, we can tone this down."
Yeah, there's really no rules on it.
No,
but I don't know, the world. It's so hard to separate yourself from like the expectation of the algorithm and the expectation of everybody else but yourself, and it's really hard not to be kind to yourself in those moments.
Definitely, yeah.
It's really hard to be kind to yourself in those moments, is what I meant to say, because you feel this like, oh, I got to get this video out, or I got to get this episode out, but really, like, people are willing to give you some grace.
Yes.
Especially starting out, which is where I'm at in YouTube world,
Yeah. And even then, like, I think most people are like, life happens.
Yeah.
Like, you can calm down.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think I have maybe 14 followers on YouTube. I think they can wait like a week or two if things get chaotic. And
if all 14 kicked off, that would be the best start to a YouTube channel.
Honestly,
like, you know what? I'm out. Like, you missed one day. What are you doing?
Unsubscribe. I don't think I've ever, like, unsubscribed from something. Yeah, or like I don't think
this
I've
could
ever...
be a YouTube addiction though.
This could be
unwillingness to collect back.
Look at all the channels I have. But I like, even on Instagram though, like I feel like you hear, especially when we're younger and like these things matter more. It's like, oh, so and so unfollowed me. I can't believe it. And I'm like, I can't even think of the last time I like opened up my phone and was like, I'm gonna just unfollow the shit out of you, right? And like, I just don't do it. I don't know.
See, I wouldn't say that I'm like a rampant unfollower, but I do unfollow people like on a fairly regular basis.
Wow. Okay, so why? You just don't want to see their stuff on your page anymore, or is it like vindictive?
No, it's never. Well, sometimes it's vindictive. I won't say it's never vindictive. No, so there's like a few reasons. So YouTube is a good example. So YouTube, I end up unfollowing people because they stop making anything. Like, I have accounts which I follow which haven't made anything in years. And I kind of, every so often I go through, I'm like, yeah, like, it's there. But now this is kind of just like a reminder that you no longer do that anymore.
Right.
And that's kind of disappointing. So I'm just like, just like clear out the bits which are there. Instagram is a bit of a mix where it's people stop posting, just completely stop posting. And in one way, you're like, I kind of want you to come back. But at the same time, it's like, you clearly moved on. Right. Like, you're probably not, if you come back, it's not going to be the same as it was when we were first like connected through Instagram. Or it's they say something and I'm like, yeah, no, we're done here. Like,
well, that's fair, honestly.
I did that today to 5 people.
Yeah.
Because they posted ChatGPT portraits.
Oh, God.
And it was, we're on this trend of like, oh, you should go to ChatGPT. These were artists as well. Painters.
Yeah.
And they were saying, yeah, get on the trend where you go into ChatGPT and ask it to make a portrait of you about what you do. And it's like, so you gave all of your data to ChatGPT, and then you asked it to generate an image. And I was like, yeah, I can't respect you right now.
You could have had an artist do that for you.
And you could have done something for yourself. Like you are a painter yourself. You could have taken, you could have made something, and it was like, no, I want this to do this. And I was like, cool.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't get how entering a prompt into a AI thing is a trend. I mean, I thought that was just something people did to mess around with AI. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's somewhere there's a line between people messing around with technology and then it becomes a trend. It's like if someone were like, using iMessage is so trendy right now, and you're like, dog, we've been using iMessage for like a decade, if not more.
I feel like that does happen though. Like you think about like Snapchat, that came out of nowhere.
It did, and then it was gone.
There's like a new one right now, which like people use, which I know like a lot of drug dealers use.
A new Snapchat equivalent?
It's basically like a Snapchat, but it's message based. So your messages always vanish, which means you can never get like traced, which is why drug dealers use it, because it's like a simple DM situation, which is like, yeah, that's really clever for drug dealers. Congratulations.
It certainly is, yeah.
But like loads of the younger generation are really on it. It's like Substack. Substack's like kicking off right now.
I keep hearing about Substack. I honestly, I don't even know what it is. It's like Tumblr, but for adults?
I think... So I had to ask someone, which shows where I am on the range of elderly.
Well, now you can pass it on to me. Thank you.
And I'll pass it on. So for anyone who doesn't know, Substack, from what I understand, is essentially a blog. Which most people are using it for newsletters.
Okay.
But it is basically like an old style Tumblr type thing where people can utilize it for other things, and it's a bit more independent and non-algorithmic, but it does mean you're like starting from scratch. But it also means that if you're already posting that stuff or sending a newsletter or having a regular presence follow, it's not really worth it.
Interesting. So it has a feed, in other words.
I think it has a feed, but I also think it kind of works in the same way as like GitHub. If you ever use GitHub.
Yeah, here and there.
Which is like it's just a massive directory. So you're not fed stuff. You have to like instinctively go. Like RSS feeds used to be.
Okay.
Like remember back when there's like home pages would like collate RSS feeds.
Yeah.
I think Substack works a lot like that.
Like a MySpace, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
They've tracked back a little bit.
Now, I've been hearing, and I literally, this is not like some sort of like covert question. I've literally been just hearing that Substack is like a little nefarious, or some. I can't speak on this at all.
But
I
what
just
for?
Whispers through the internet. I'm a Reddit guy, so you get the whispers and you take it with a grain of salt.
Reddit, yeah.
You know, who doesn't, right? This episode was brought to you by. No, just kidding.
If Reddit want to sponsor my podcast, that's probably a sponsor I would take.
That would be really cool. Spez himself calls you up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I can do this.
But yeah, just like, you know, the internet, capital I, I've heard that like some, or maybe people were using Substack for nefarious purposes, but I don't know. I've just never gotten into it. I know nothing about it.
I think that's true though. Like you say, like it's any trend, right? Any trend kicks off and becomes like a thing. Like there's always that like grace period, and then all of a sudden it's like people are using this for things which they shouldn't be using it for.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Who could have seen this happening?
Yeah. Who could have seen that happening? And ChatGPT trends or anything like that. But then at the same time, like there was that whole period in MySpace where it was just like random MySpace pages and Facebook pages would pop up and it would be like, it's a bear at a picnic table. And you're like, I like that. And now you're following a page about a bear at a picnic table.
Yep. And then you fast forward, 15 years, and that page has become some like random Kim Kardashian fan page.
Yeah,
but it's like, still called
scamming you to buy crypto, but it's still bear at a picnic table.
Yeah. It's so funny. They didn't, like Facebook in particular, didn't foresee how those pages would change in the future.
No, it's like you have a captive audience of like hundreds and thousands. It's like you don't think someone's going to sell access to that page.
Yeah.
But that happens with YouTube as well. Like
kidding.
Big YouTubers, this was like a big thing of, do you know like Philip DeFranco?
Oh, I've been watching Phil DeFranco for
like
my whole life.
Phil DeFranco, like Grace Helbig, at some point sold or signed a contract with various businesses as like, we'll fund you, like we'll legitimize you, you'll still be YouTube, you'll still have creative control.
Right.
And then at some point those businesses like stole their channels and we're like, we're cutting you out.
Holy crap.
And then their channels became something else, which is why Phil DeFranco like changed his name on YouTube. Grace Helbig took a step away. She's like, I don't want to make content anymore. And they changed their channels into something else, which are now like top 5 celebrities videos and stuff like that.
So totally disjointed. Like, so Philip DeFranco, for example, hit this new changed channel. There's no trace of him anymore. Is that?
Well, there, like his new thing is like his new thing,
Right?
Which
right.
obviously is still like huge and all that kind of stuff because everyone's like, well, we're here for Phil DeFranco.
Yeah.
But his old channel was like, Frankenstein and something else because it already had
Whack.
millions of subscribers. So
Yeah.
they were like, well, we can just change all the content, and all of a sudden we're going to get millions of clicks because we're just in someone's feed, even though they didn't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very
It's
interesting.
like a magpie behavior.
I've never even. I mean, that's so obvious now that you say it. Like,
Yeah.
it makes capitalism sense,
Yeah.
but capitalistic sense to me.
capitalist.
But yeah, wow, I had no idea that was like a thing,
Yeah.
or an option if I had enough money. No.
Speaking of options.
Yeah, really. I don't think, if I had $1 million, I still don't think I would buy a YouTube channel. I'd still want to do it from the ground up. I don't know. There's like just something fun about it.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think that's the thing which we, like, as artists, we embrace. Like, it needs to be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I can't, if it feels like work and it's a Saturday, I mean, assuming I'm not with a client.
Yes,
If I'm
yeah,
relaxed and it's a Saturday, I don't necessarily want to deal with that,
No.
I just totally trailed off of my train of thought there. Apologies.
That's fine. I think
But
my
yeah.
audience can deal with trailing off.
Oh, good.
Considering I topic jump within sentences, so.
No, that's great. I can keep up with that. It's just sometimes my brain just whoosh,
Sure.
brick wall comes down.
Well, but I guess back to my original
Yeah.
question, which I skipped. See, I'm pretty good at that.
No, that was good.
Yeah. So we were talking. I was saying, like, before you started doing video content and you were doing more like portrait, still image stuff. Have you ever had the experience of someone seeing it and thinking this says something different about me that I didn't want it to say?
I would say yes, of course. Video-wise, film-wise, I've only released 2 so far, so I haven't had that, and I have like a very good relationship with the 2 people I've released so far.
course, yeah.
So thankfully, not had that issue. Just to touch on something real quick, I did recently interview a celebrity, and so I'm lately very aware of this topic, and
Right, yeah.
and I have that in my mind as I cut this film. I won't say who it is, but if you've watched MTV during our formative years, what we're in our 30s, right?
Yeah.
You will definitely know this person, or at least have heard of this person. And so that's something, especially with that sort of situation, I'm very conscientious of. Basically, my headcanon is, when I'm cutting it, I think, all right, would this person be proud that they have said this thing?
Right. Yeah.
Because my films are heavily cut, and not for any like editorial reason, but just for like timing and getting rid of the ums and uhs and oohs and the laughs. There's a lot of laughing. And so I try to take a 20-minute conversation and get it down to like 5 or 7 minutes.
I mean, that's impressive in itself. Like,
it's tough
with
man.
editing. Like, having done editing, like, that's crazy.
It is crazy. It sucks. It sucks. But it sucks in like that art is pain kind of way.
Sure.
It sucks because you're cutting stuff that you would love, but you really do have to keep the narrative true, and you can't rejumble what they say.
Yeah.
Like you can't change the order of operations or the fundamental backbone of the conversation, and that's a tough line to follow. In terms of portraiture, though, like someone's like, oh, this isn't really me.
Yeah.
That actually does happen pretty frequently. I just took a client 2 weeks ago, and I sent her back. I always give my clients like a round of editing, at least one round of like notes.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mike, can you fix my pimple or move my hair this way or something? Whatever. You should like the way you look in a portrait that you paid
Of course,
for.
yeah.
But there are times where people are like, hey, this doesn't really feel like me. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. And I'll go back to the drawing board and I'll say, hey, look, is it the image? Is it is it something I can do? Or I'll many times I'll recommend something, or I'll peel back some retouching. So it definitely happens, but it's not been detrimental yet. It's just been kind of normal requests.
Normal stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. That is interesting because I did find that through photography it can be surprising what you end up with. Even when you're taking a photograph to be sincere. You're like, I want to make this person look amazing, or they look amazing right now, and then you get the image and you're like, wow, what happened? Like, you suddenly look really old in this photograph.
And you know what, man, that happens to some degree in every shoot.
Yeah.
But obviously it stays in your brain.
Yeah.
But then you pivot and you're like, all right, this is great. Let's move on to this shape or this shape instead. But yeah, I mean, that's a constant calculation I'm making as I'm shooting. You know what I mean? Because even you know, you could take the most beautiful person in the world, like the golden ratio human, and you can still take a bad picture of them for sure, very easily, shockingly easily. And so it's that constant readjustment. You try to get ahead of it, you know, like we're saying. Whatever I can do behind the camera to minimize a person being like, hey, this doesn't feel like me, I will take all of those options, you know, behind the camera. And we were saying before, like, I'd like to talk to my clients, and like when we're in the studio, sometimes it's the first time I'm face to face with them, and I like to disarm them with just like a little bit of chillness, you know, no camera in my hand, we're just hanging out. And then that way, when it's time to photograph them, I have more information about them. I can how do they sit naturally? Do they lean with their left hand? Do they lean with their right hand? Do they sit like this when they think? Do they sit like, you know, all of these things, and it kind of helps me get to a point where I'm minimizing the room for someone to be like, this doesn't feel like me. Because hopefully by the time I lift my camera up, I understand you enough to get going. And then that always evolves, obviously. The longer you sit and photograph someone, you start to get there. You like get this groove with them, and you can't rush it. It just kind of, when it happens, it happens. And it happens in every shoot. Some of the grooves are rough. Some of the grooves are beautiful. But you get there eventually. Eventually.
You say that like once there was just like, we never got there.
And man, it happens, you know, and that's not to say the client didn't love the images. Sometimes I'm holding myself to a different standard where I can feel it's off. I can feel we're not clicking in the way that I was hoping. And if I'm doing my job right, you as the subject don't feel that. But I'm certainly painfully aware of it sometimes.
It's definitely, it is a talent in itself. And I think that becomes underappreciated with like photography stuff, of dealing with your subject as well as dealing with all the technical stuff which goes into actually putting an image together. Is that whole conversation, like say, where you are dealing with a human being, which is therefore you're dealing with some level of chaos. And most human beings don't like being photographed.
That's true.
So it's an anxious human being, which is even worse. And then you kind of got to ride that out with them.
For sure, because that anxiety will show up on camera. That discomfort, the lack of connection, it's all very obvious. And, you know, we're all our own greatest critic. And so you know, I'm taking a picture of you and then showing you to you.
Yes.
So that better damn well represent what you look like. Because if it doesn't, we're going to have a very odd conversation, you know?
We're like, that's not me, man.
I know.
I don't know who that is.
Who is this person? I have no wrinkles, you know? It's a delicate balance because, you know, you want to retouch people. You want to bring them up to this, like, kind of perfect place, but you don't want to lose them in there. And it's very easy to do that, man. It's really, when I'm retouching, sometimes I got my computer up and I'm zoomed way in on someone's like eye, like pixels, dude, and I'm painting literal pixels. And if you stay in there too long and you zoom out, you're like, oh shit, I just totally made this person 30 years younger. Okay, backtrack.
That's so true though. Like it's the same with like when you're doing anything art based. I think once you like, even with like edits, right? Like you get into the edit and you're like, yeah, this, like I'm just gonna slice this out and then I'll trim that down. Like there's an awkward pause at the end, or maybe like, you know, the glint was off or something, and you do it and then you're like, oh no, I just got rid of like 10 minutes of footage. Now I have a 3-minute film. You know what? I found, and again, haven't done this very often yet. But I just kind of, once I know that the technical aspect is good, cameras are rolling, sound is rolling, lights are on. After that, once I know, okay, everything's being captured, no matter what now. You know, I have an assistant pacing the cameras, checking around, making sure everything's good. I can just think about the conversation. And that kind of frees me because then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have everything from every angle. So I'm not going to miss anything. Now it's just up to me to have a great conversation. And while that's a pile of stress on its own sometimes, at least I know that I'm not sitting there worrying about post as I'm having this conversation. Because you can't have an in-depth conversation with someone if you're worrying in the background about, is this camera running? Is this sound picking up? Is this... You just can't get in it. No. You know? No, I've had the nightmare situation, which is record with guest. This isn't turned on.
Yeah.
Battery died.
Yeah.
Something died. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And then, but I kind of, in some ways, I like the chaos of that because it challenges me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now like, all right, I lost half the footage. What are we going to do?
Stock footage, baby.
It's like,
I'm just kidding.
no, that's literally it.
Oh, really?
It becomes like a challenge of like, okay, what can I take from them? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they already have existing? Like I edit in with guests like clips of like their work, and like if we have a conversation which discusses certain like film or whatever they did or they were discussing, I'll cut that in as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it does become a challenge of like, okay, now I've literally got to find visuals for this.
Yeah.
Let's make that work. Let's make it more interesting. It happened when I interviewed Kavi.
Oh, really?
We ran long, and the SD card ran out of space.
Yikes.
So the last 15 minutes is literally random. It's like every image on screen is stock footage, or it's stills from previous in the interview, or footage which I re-edited to make it look like it's we're talking.
I have so many pictures of him. I should have just sent them all. You could have
Just
done
like-
a slideshow of Covey, like as he's talking.
love that.
Maybe animate his mouth like.
Oh, there was a level of temptation where I was like, what if I did like a South Park head
Yeah.
vibe?
Yeah, like a puppet.
And it's that kind of stuff where it's like, yeah, you really do have to like think on your feet. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you kind of just have to accept that some things are going to go wrong.
Oh, it's so true. You can't do something like this with all moving parts, whether it's a podcast, a film, a footage.
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts and things going on. A battery's going to die, a memory card's going to blow up, a camera's going to fail.
Yeah.
You just kind of, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you might as well, just be ready for it every day.
It's the perfect way to do it. I mean, we didn't dive into like what a specific topic for this chat, but we've already spoken about like photography
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific thing about photography which you want to discuss, or you want to preach about,
Oh, interesting.
or challenge on? What's your beef with photography?
What's my beef with photography? Oh, I could tell you.
Let's start some fights.
Okay. I have. We can spill a little hot take.
Okay.
I think it. Well, I don't, because I'm not really taking a position. I guess
Okay.
it's more just a. It's just something I've observed. Sure. So something I do is I donate my time to different programs that like help uplift like young artists. So I work with NYC Salt. I have a mentee there. Great kid, way ahead of his years, man. This dude's gonna be like the next Spielberg. I'm so serious. I'm not gonna put his name in. He's a kid.
Yeah.
But he's got like this like eye that is wild.
Yeah.
And so I like to give back in that way. And so I'm really involved in workshops, mentorships, yada yada. Okay, we got that. So something I notice because I'm kind of in this world is there is this idea that if you go out and you buy a Sony camera and a kit lens, you are now a photographer and you can start taking clients.
Yeah.
And I would never stop anyone from doing it. Do whatever you got to do. Everyone is an amateur or new to something at some point. Certainly I was not even that long ago in the grand scheme of the world. But there's something that just bothers me about the lack of willingness to put in work to earn the title that you're giving yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And not that I would ever directly call someone out on this, of course, but you asked for a hot take, so I give a hot take. And so it just irks me a little bit when you see these folks and they stick out like a sore thumb. You can see it in their work, and it's fine because my work looked like that at some point. But I also wasn't, masquerading as a seasoned photographer in my first year that I bought a camera. All this to say is it does a disservice to working photographers who do put in the time. There is so much about photography that you would never know to even want to know if you don't truly immerse yourself in it. And I mean, I'll give you an example to bring this back around to me that like I'm not exempt from this either. When I went to my current job, the way upper echelons of photography, and for your listeners, you know this, but I'm on set as a first assistant, B cam, unit stills, right hand man on these shoots for we've done Kim Kardashian, we've done Donald Trump, we've done people of that nature.
Yes. High profile people.
Super high profile, super high stakes.
Yeah.
And when I first landed this job, man, I might as well have been an infant because I had been in the industry for over a decade.
Yeah.
I know my way around a camera. If you show me an image, a portrait, I can color match it. I can recreate it. I know my toolkit very well. And then I get this job in the upper echelons, and I think to myself, "Oh boy,
Yeah.
what have I done?
Yeah.
I'm not a photographer, man.
Yeah,
All of
yeah.
these years I thought I was. I'm helping people. I'm taking clients. I'm making people happy, and it turns out I had plateaued, and I didn't know it because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And in that moment I had a choice to make, right? Like my whole photography world was kind of crumbling around because I was learning these things that I just didn't even know were elements of good editorial high-end photography. And I had this moment where I was like, all right, I'm either going to crumble or I'm going to become a student again. And I haven't been a student in a long time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I became a student again. And I think that concept is missing in this younger generation coming up, and I think a lot of good photographers won't become great because they don't know to push it. They just get that camera and go, here we go, baby, I'm a photographer. They never kind of go through the hard knocks, and I think it's a disservice because you'll see, there might be a great photographer out there who falls into this category right now but is hungry to be better.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's doing a disservice to their own art, their own talent, to not go out and learn and shadow people and just pry information out of everyone in the industry that you possibly can. You're doing yourself a disservice first before anything else. And so that's like my hot take. You're not a photographer when you buy a camera. You're a person with a camera.
Yeah.
And you owe it to yourself to become as learned as you can and to master your tool, because the beautiful thing, and I say this with like there's an uplift at the end, and that is that photography is a beautiful thing to do, and you are never done learning. So it's kind of silly to pretend that you are, or to pretend that you're something you're not, because part of becoming a photographer is the becoming part. I think that's crucial.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting as well. Like, so the example you used reminds me, like, almost instantaneously of the counterpoint to that, right? Which is like, you go out, you get your first camera and your first kit lens. What I saw when I was studying photography was very much, you go out and you get the most expensive equipment imaginable. You have a set of like 10 lenses, and therefore that makes you a photographer because you have the most gear, because you have the best gear, quote unquote best gear. And it's the same principle. It's the same principle. You get these people who are like, yeah, no, I've got this, therefore I'm great.
Right.
And I think it is almost generational, but at the same time, it existed within our generation. It's just been amplified.
Yes.
And because technology has moved on from where we were, like I studied photography and I learned on film. I didn't learn digital for a good 5 years. And it was one of those things of like, well, you've got access to Photoshop now. What can you do in Photoshop? And now, because Photoshop is almost automatic for a lot of people, they don't bother to learn in camera.
Right.
They learn to fix in post. And then again, like it becomes like you say, where you're doing yourself a disservice, or if you end up in a situation where you don't have that resource, what are you going to do? You know, are you going to fall over? Are you going to pick up and be like, okay, no, I can go learn these things? And I think, especially in photography, which is a medium which relies on capturing like instances of moments which are fleeting, you have to do the pre-learning.
You do.
Because it's like the example I'd give was, I recently was looking at the protest photographs from like Minneapolis and all the people who went out and ran out and shot that. I can take a photograph. I don't think I would go photograph protests, because I don't think my skills for street photography are there to capture what is needed. Right. I'd have to learn that. I'd have to go out and do that, because that's not the kind of thing I do. And where a lot of kids will be like, yeah, I want to go do this. And I'm like, well, you're going to come back with like a lot of stuff which is not usable. Right. In any way, shape or form. And you missed it, because what if this only happens once? Right. You know? And obviously it's much lower stakes in a studio, but it's like that, like you say, there's a level of pre-learning to it. Yeah. Which is crazy.
And and to your point too about like the fixing it in post, certainly that is a path you can take, but you can take steps to mitigate the time you spend in post.
Yeah.
There are very simple things you can do in real life behind the camera that will make that next portion go a lot smoother, and you might not know that. There were elements that I did not know until I was like 30, and I was like, oh shit, this does make it a lot easier. Wow.
Yeah. I think it's interesting as well, like where you mentioned, like, obviously you've been on the scale of like high end, and I remember there's like a few stories from like film directors who started as indie film directors. They were very much like, we're spending $30,000 on this. That's all we've got. So we're going to make everything DIY.
Yeah.
So they had to do all of that stuff. So it's like they had some gear. They spent 10 years learning that setup, learning that gear, and then a studio hired them and said, hey, we'll pay you to make a film. And the first conversation they have is like, well, what's the budget? And they're like, well, I made a movie for like $30,000. And they're like, you can't make a movie for $30,000. And you're like, what do you mean? I've done that. Like multiple. That's how you make a movie. They're like, no, like a minimum budget's like $3 million.
Yeah.
And they're like, how? Where? Like, what is the money like going into? And then they get access to like, oh yeah, you got crews, you got catering, you got all these extra licensed contractors, health and safety. And it's like, oh yeah, there's like a whole new layer to this I just don't know about.
100%.
Like, what am I gonna do?
Right. And you would never know until you're put in that situation.
Exactly.
But that's like that hunger to take that situation and be like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn all this stuff, and I'm going to do it anyway. And I think that's where the wheat and the chaff get separated, is like, are you going to rise to the occasion? And that means something different for everybody. This director, maybe, maybe they spend $8 million instead, or something like that, or a little bit less than the budget. I don't know, but it's like you fill the expectation and you just do it the best you can. But that's so real, man. I mean, there was equipment that I was renting for my first shoot at this big job, and they're like, you got to get a high boy roller, and I was like, the fuck is that? I don't know what a high boy roller is. So man, the amount of time I would spend on B&H like comparing stuff, because you folks can't see it, but there's like a light stand off camera, and like.
I almost guarantee a light stand and tripod cost more than my camera.
This is a weirdly expensive light stand, and I don't know what the cost of your camera is, but I will say...
Well, I've had my camera at least 10 years.
Wow.
So, or like initially when it came out. Like,
so this
is actually second hand.
Amazing.
So, like... And it's cracked, so it doesn't use the original software anymore.
We love Magic Lantern
so
here.
It's worth nothing.
No, but you know what? It's worth everything, because it's giving
it does the job. Yeah.
It's giving the people what they need, man. But yeah, the learning curve is never ending, and it's steep in photography. So if you're listening and you just bought your Sony, I rag on they're just like, to me, they're just like, I don't know, like the stepchild of camera gear.
They're the trend right now.
I know.
The Sony camera. Like, even I've looked, because these are like, that's an SLR, and I was like, maybe I should abandon mirrors. Like, maybe I should get rid of the reflex stuff. Maybe I should get myself like a straight 2. And I was like, what is Sony doing nowadays? Because everyone seems to have a Sony nowadays, and I kind of thought like it.
I'm a big Fuji guy, man. Fuji, if you're listening,
sure,
love a sponsorship. I don't know. I've always had a weird bone to pick with Sony.
Yeah.
No reason. I might get called out for this. That's okay. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not. I don't know. I don't trust a camera from a brand that makes 1,000 other things. Like, just make one thing really good.
I think that is fair, though. I had the same problem with Sony laptops. It was like, I don't know why you're making laptops.
Oh, the Sony Vaio?
Yeah.
Those things were so hip.
They were everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone has Sony Vaio. I was like, I don't really want that. Like, Sony make sound equipment? Like, that's what I know them for.
Yeah, that's like their start, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you're putting like a PS5 out, a really good camera. And I know they make good cameras. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's my hot take. Yeah. I will never use a Sony unless I'm like being paid at work to hold one.
For sure. Yeah.
But
what if Sony reach out and want to sponsor you instead of Fuji? Will you take that money?
I gotta be so honest with you, I would not. I just straight up wouldn't. I don't like the ergonomics of their cameras.
That's very fair.
Aside from it, like, that's my practical reason I don't use Sony.
You actually have a reason that you don't like to use. Yeah.
Exactly. I like a Fuji. I like the dials on the top. It feels like 35 millimeter. I can kind of have the same muscle memory across all my cameras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's quite lovely.
I like that. No, I'm the same. I'm very much the same. And especially, I think with photography, it becomes more and more important because because everything is in one box,
Right.
right? So you're just like, I need to know where all the buttons are. You can't just hand me something which is completely set up completely differently.
Yeah.
Like I have 2 Canons on my digital, but all my film cameras are like Shinons and like old Pentax, and that kind of stuff. And
stuff.
it's like, yeah, because that's what I know. I know where the light meters are.
Right.
So that's good enough for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's a tool.
Yeah.
So you just need the right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
And there's room for subjectivity there. Like, yeah, sure. Like your camera, my camera, they can all take great pictures and videos, but there is a preference somewhere in there, of course. And to that point too, Nikons don't like their button layout.
That's right.
Calling you out, Nikon. Have fewer buttons or something. I don't know. I've used a couple of them in my life. I don't have any beef against them at all. I just like, for me, I was like, I gotta take too many steps to change something, and it's it's too much.
Yeah, no, there's always too many buttons to do
Yeah.
too many things. And I feel like that's getting more rife now that we're like more cameras are basically just applications.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we can add apps to this, and like you can update your firmware. I'm like,
So weird, man. Just give me like a low poly digital screen, and like let me set my I don't know, my white balance. Give me a couple buttons to do that. And
I had a dream once of like an analog button screen, basically like a keyboard you would hang off the side of you, and would give you access to everything in your camera.
Oh,
so you'd be like, oh, quick light setting, and you're like,
that would be
done.
so nice.
So it'd just be so satisfying.
Yeah.
Just like quick tap. Okay, we're good to go.
Oh, that would be so nice.
Maybe
There's something to that, man.
That's like the 80s power glove of photography, which I'm like trying to recreate.
It's like punching your settings on your wrist or something.
Yeah.
I would use the heck out of that.
All right, I got like a follow-up question.
Yeah,
around photography. Obviously, you mentioned that you do or have done essentially different mediums for photography. Like you've created in other spaces. How does your approach change from like creating something in that space to creating something in this space? Is it purely technical, or is there like a mindset difference? Like, let's say if you wanted to make a song, would you approach that the same as like, okay, I'm going to make a series of photographs?
Oh, that's so interesting.
It was something I briefly spoke to Bruce about.
Yeah.
About transference of skills into different mediums. I'm curious about that.
I think so. The one thing that definitely stays the same is, regardless of what I'm working on, I'm so excited to see the outcome.
Right.
And that pushes me. It pushes me, and I want the outcome to be as perfect as I can make it, of course. And so that is a constant line through all the art that I make. And I don't really make too much music. I still play guitar. I was just playing it before you came in.
Nice.
So is your question, what's my approach now as someone who's kind of stepped away from music and when I play it again? Or are you curious at the peak of both? How do they compare?
I think I'm curious, of both answers.
Okay.
Like at the peak of like when you were making music,
Yeah.
you obviously had a process.
Yes.
In some way for making something which was emotionally significant to yourself.
Yeah.
In photography, you will likely have the same.
Right. I would say, okay, in that case, I would say when I was making music, it was much more emotionally spirited and sprung about. You know, I was dealing with something or thinking about something or feeling something, and at that point in my life, my late teens, early 20s, early to mid 20s really, my way to get that out was to write music about it. And so it was very much a therapeutic, cathartic process that on the other side of it sometimes came a song or two songs or something like that. And it was almost like I didn't choose it. It was like the guitar, I chose to buy the guitar, but once it was there, it became this like, oh, I'm feeling something, and I would just reach for the guitar. Yeah. And then 45 minutes later, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm onto something now.
Right.
And so like the emotion would inspire or inform that art form. I feel like that is a bit different from photography. Oh my gosh, if I only shot photography when I was like in my feels, I would never, my clients would be so unhappy with me. But this is interesting. I think now it has to be, it's a switch I need to be prepared to flip, because now my passion and my job are the same for the most part.
Yeah.
And so now it's more meditative and intentional. You know, if I have a client at 2 p.m. on Saturday, I best get my head in the right space by 1:30 on Saturday, because I don't have a choice. I can't do it just because I'm feeling something, you know. I have to then flip it on its head and go, I need to get into the feels. I need to lock in with this person. I need to be in the right headspace to even do that in the first place with them. And so I think the process for me, if anything, I would say it matured or kind of grew up a little bit to match what I need from it. And I think the reason I don't play in a band or do music in any official capacity, but I always have a guitar. I just got a nice shiny guitar like 2 years ago. Because I've separated the two. The music is therapeutic, and the photography is sometimes, of course, therapeutic, but it's not its main intention.
Yes.
And so I found keeping the outlets kind of separate and having the option to do either one has been really nice. I'm very happy that I managed to learn guitar as a kid because it is such a nice stress reliever. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I asked that, so I'm reading a biography of Francis Bacon right now, the painter. And a lot of what gets talked about in that is the different intentions of artists. Like some artists do crank out, 100 paintings, and they see it almost production line based. They're like, I'm creating work, and I'm creating work for a purpose, and that purpose is that, and I'll go into the studio and I'll work for 8 hours, and that's what I'll do. Whereas other people are very much like, no, I have to be in the right mood. I have to be in the right mood, I have to be in the right feeling, and if I'm not, then it's never going to happen for me. Therefore, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And I think photography is an interesting in-between, because, like we were saying, there is a level of pre-plan to photography, which other mediums just kind of lack. Like, you can't really have the same level of chaos accidents that you could have with, like, painting.
Right.
Something drips whilst you're painting. Suddenly, this is the best painting in the world.
Yeah.
Like, the color doesn't go on quite how you expect it to, that kind of thing. And there is no post-edit.
Right.
Whereas photography is clinical to some extent.
Yeah.
Change can happen which can add to that feeling, but you have to start with that clinician, or at least in my view, you kind of have to, because you have to be doing calculations of, light versus dark and all those kinds of things. Sure. And then you deal with the outcome. And I wonder if you relate to that.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you talk about the paint dripping, right? That's something that could be the magical moment that makes a painting, and I think the equivalent in photography is, and we'll ignore the fact that these days you can change almost anything in post, but I just like to note that I don't do that. If I can avoid, if I can avoid changing something about your anatomy or swapping something out of a necessity, then I will avoid that. I try to keep it as true to life as possible. So that paint drip moment, just so to speak, for photography really happens in the subject that I'm photographing. Yeah. I might go into it thinking, this photo shoot's going to be like this, or it's going to be like that, or it's going to be like this. Yeah. And then I'm totally surprised by the person in front of me. And sometimes, actually, I would say not even sometimes, every shoot, somebody does something, sits some way, leans some way, expresses in some way, where I'm like, that's the paint drip.
Right.
That's the moment that I knew would happen at some point.
That's interesting.
And you just gave it to me. And it's a separate thing, because I won't touch that thing in post.
Yep.
Everything is around that. If it's like a really emotional look or a look in the eye, you can't change that. You can't make that in post. All you can do is respect it as you're retouching or editing. Yeah. It becomes like the centerpiece of the table.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's true. I don't think I've thought of it like that that opportunity is there. It's just changed position of where it is. Like, it's not the creator's hand anymore, it's the subject's hand. Right. Essentially. And you've reminded me, there's a great photograph of Winston Churchill, which is like one of his most like famous photographs, and he looks pissed. Yes. Like, he's just like the angriest man ever, and it's because the photographer took his cigar away from him.
Is that so? Yeah. Was that Irving Penn that did that one?
I think it might be, It's like he just took his cigar away from him, and it's the look of a man who's just like, the hell are you doing?
Yeah, which is so great for like to capture Winston Churchill.
Yeah. It's like, this is just like, and the lightning is still there. It's just completely on the other side of like the actual tool you're using.
Right.
Yeah.
And those kind of moments, like, sure, the photographer chose to take the cigar, but you could never really know what's going to happen.
You're like, he's a little addicted to that, man. What happens if I play with that?
Yeah. And that's the magic.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we get to as photographers, throw the paint can, like pull a little Jackson Pollock. We throw a wrench in it, you know.
And to go back to what you said, like that's why, like your statement kind of stands of like, buying a camera doesn't make you the photographer. Like, exploring the medium makes you the photographer. Exploring like the technique and the skills and developing all those techniques is what makes the photographer, not just like, oh hey, you go out and bought a $500 camera.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that's like, I think that's an uplifting thing to tell somebody, because something that I've found over the years, because I think we all struggle with this, all artists, right, is what's my style?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And I've struggled with this internally. I've had people come to me and say, how do you know? You know? And the only way I've come up with to explain this, and what I tell, you know, my students or, you know, people that ask is, your style is the average of all of your experiences as an artist.
Yeah.
That's your style. So if you don't have enough experiences to average, you don't have a style yet. And that's okay. It's just part of, you're just climbing the ladder, man. But you don't know until you've tried things that do work, tried things that don't work. Be taught something that totally changes your view. At any moment, that could happen, especially to a young photographer who hasn't experienced a lot of things yet. They're just rife for fresh things to happen to them.
Yeah.
And that's where you get your style from. You know, I don't know if my images have a style. I don't know if someone who isn't me can look at an image and go, that looks like Mike took it. I don't know, but I don't care.
To me, that's when you discover your style. When someone points to something and they're like, did you do this?
Yeah.
And I've had that a couple of times, because I've thought many a time I don't have a style. Almost intentionally so. I like doing like a lot of different things.
Sure.
And I produced some stuff and they were like, you did this. It's like, yeah, but how the hell do you know? And they were like, because it's got you written all over it. And I was like, this is interesting. I'm leaving footprints that fingerprints that I don't know about.
Well, we spend so much time looking at our own stuff. It's so hard to separate it. Like, we know if it's technically sound in the way that we do it. But yeah, I don't even think it matters, to be honest. I mean, you created it. It doesn't, because then you start thinking, does this thing I'm making now fit my style? And then you get bogged down by that. You should just, if it looks good, send it out. You know what I mean? I don't use the same color backdrop or the same, I don't even know. The only thing that's the same is like my setup, so that I like know I have some sort of reasonable expectation of what's going to happen.
I mean, there's definitely things to it, and like really style is just preference. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, you're always going to, even like your working methodology, you're always going to crop in the same way. You're always going to adjust the light levels to what you think is the right type, right?
That's true.
I mean, this comes into, especially my work, like I'm partially colorblind, so I play with colors till I see what I want to see.
Right.
And then I show it to other people, and they're like, oh.
Which I think is highly interesting, man.
And it's just
so compelling.
It's one of those things of like, yeah, like that's my style. My style is I don't really pay attention to colors.
Yeah.
Because I'm so bogged down in paying attention to texture and tone.
Right.
More than the color I'm using at any one point in time.
Yeah.
And it's something like,
and that's where your emotion is. A lot of folks will use color to convey emotion, but it's like it's your application of the paint that's conveying it. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing colors.
Yes, there's still colors in there, but it's like, and that's almost like the fun of it for me, where it comes back to like what you were saying earlier, is I'll make a red painting. And I'll think to myself, yeah, like these are kind of like nice, like dull reds. And then I'll show it to someone, like, this is like the most red I've ever seen on a page ever. And I'm like,
really?
Really? And they're like, this is like really bold. And I'm like, I don't really see it. Like, that wasn't necessarily the intention.
Right.
It could be. Like, I'm being much louder in my work than I expect to be.
Which is almost like I don't know, there's a magic to that too. Yeah. It's like the art's also piloting itself at times.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think can play into many things.
Say again?
I think that can play into many things. The same with like your photography. Like, it's like I say, like the stuff you will do which you just don't notice.
It's
Like even how you pose people. Like if you focus on certain areas of the body or like certain gestures more than like some others.
Right.
That's all choices you've made at some point through your career and said, that's what I like.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the most human part, and that's the bit which I'm focused on.
Yeah.
And that's, the beauty of
And
it.
to kind of piggyback off of that too, I'd like to say too, like one of the most interesting pieces of advice I've gotten, like sort of pertaining to this, is well, the first piece of information is I was told that changed my life is get weird.
Okay.
Like get weird. Shoot, if you're photographing someone and you haven't gone on the floor prone, do it. Get weird. That's been like a prevailing thing.
Great, yeah.
But more than that, I learned to treat each of my portraits as a piece of art.
Right.
That's something that took a long time to learn because in the photography industry, it's always like, oh, my event, my birthday party, my wedding, and it's art, of course, but it's not art about the artist. And when I'm doing portraits, I have more control. I mean, you hired me because you saw my work. And so I kind of take that liberty to say, well, this is how I see you, right? But it used to be I would shoot a portrait session and I would straight up deliver like 30, 40 images from a portrait session. And I slowly started to learn and pick up on the fact that, you can do that. But you can make something so much more beautiful if you give that person 5 images, but spend just as much time on those 5 images as you would on 40 or 50 or 30. And instead of pumping out quantity, you really focus on fewer things, but at higher quality. And just, you don't release anything to a client until it passes every test that you can throw at it. And that has changed my outlook on art. The art that I make, big time. Probably the biggest impact that I've ever had on my work is treating each image with its own dignity, its own respect, and its own time that it deserves.
Interesting.
And that's where portraits for me became a piece of art instead of another portrait.
Yeah, just another photograph of some person who
Right.
hired me at that one time.
Exactly. I don't want someone to feel like I've just taken another portrait. I want them to feel like I took the portrait, and after an hour and a half, 2 hours in the studio, I'm going to give you the 5 most compelling portraits that we've created together.
Yeah.
And forget the rest. The rest doesn't matter. The rest were just to get to these 5.
And all of that came through learning and practice.
That's right.
To loop it all around.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would have never known to make these changes or to do these things if someone wasn't like, hey, Mike, try it out.
And it's funny as well, like that thing you mentioned of like quality over quantity is a very early photographer trope. It's like you shoot a wedding and you deliver 500 images because you shot 500 images.
Right.
And it's like, well, realistically, you could have done 20. Like they really only need 20 good photographs from their wedding day.
Oh my God, sidebar. That's so true.
Yeah. It's like,
so true.
and even then, like clients will ask for everything.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, where's the rest? And you're like, well, you don't need the rest.
Yeah, trust me.
Like, trust me, you don't need the rest.
Yeah, they've been omitted for a reason.
Yes. It's like
it's funny though, you bring weddings up though, because I'm getting married now in 2 months, and I've hired a wedding photographer, and I've hired
It's the hardest
very
conversation for you to have in the world because you must be so picky.
It's so funny. But do you want to know? I'm actually not with wedding photos, and I was more concerned about like somehow conveying to this photographer like that I highly value your job, but I don't need 1,000 photos. Like my fiance and I are not ever going to look through. If she delivers 50 beautifully polished photos of her 6 hours with us, I'll be over the moon.
Beautiful.
And I told her that. I told her like, be an artist at this wedding. Don't be anything else. Just be you. Be the artist you are, and take some shots, man. And I'd like to think I'm an easy client for that.
We'll see when you get those shots.
I know. But it's also because I've shot hundreds of weddings in my life, and I don't want to deal with the amount of photos I deliver to people, like as a client. I'm like, what am I gonna do at 500 weddings? Oh my God.
Oh, that's so funny. But it's like what there's like to round this out, to the podcast out with like a side like anecdote. I think that's something every photographer goes through when they're at a wedding as a guest, watching the photographer.
Yeah.
Because you can't help but do it. Like I went to 2 weddings last year, and at both events, I was standing with people, and I could see the photographer, like out the corner of my eye, and I basically repositioned myself every single time to to like allow people to be photographed,
Right.
to move myself into the frame, to move myself out of the frame, to hold a position because I can see the person.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't need to do any of this. I should be enjoying myself.
It's
like,
the curse
but
of
I
knowing
can't.
too much. Yeah, yeah. I'm too fixated on this
Yeah.
person's job right now.
I want their job to be so easy today.
Yeah.
Because there's so much pressure that I'm just not going to be able to.
I know, and it really has to be those subtle things, because God knows the last thing a wedding photographer wants to hear on their job is, "Hey, I shoot weddings too.
Yes,
What
yes.
kind of camera are you using?
Yeah,
Nice to
yeah,
meet you." You know,
yeah, yeah.
so it's those subtle things. Where you're like, I get it. You silently help, and that's what we need as photographers.
I would say the best thing which I've done for a photographer at a wedding is I brought them some food. They were like standing around. I was just like, "Hey, you want some food?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Yes, I haven't eaten all day." I was like,
Oh, we love that.
"Sit,
Don't we?
eat." Like, you know, been running around for like 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the amount of times I don't shoot weddings anymore. I'll do like the odd one for people I really dig.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, let's be honest. It is like a high octane kind of a crazy 10-hour ordeal.
Yeah.
It's wildly fun.
Yes.
For the right person, I do it. But did I just knock myself off a train of thought? I did. I don't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, that's silly.
fine.
That's the only time that's happened. So in this
We've done well.
So
We've done well. We've done well.
we did all right.
All right. Well, to round us out, I
Yeah.
have 2 questions. One of them you kind of preempted, so I'm curious what you'll come up with, depending on if you've seen the episodes before. So my first question, which I always ask, or I've started always asking, is what's a genuinely good piece of advice? And it doesn't have to be related to photography or anything you do, but what is a genuinely good piece of advice?
Okay, I think this works for everybody. I think.
Sure.
And I did mention this before, but I think it fits the bill here, and that's always be a student, in whatever you're doing. Be curious, be a student, especially if you're in art. But if you're doing anything you enjoy, even mildly, you can always get better at it. There's always someone who knows something you don't know, and it's so important to put ego aside in all things, but especially art. That there can't be any ego. And so if you maintain the student mentality, you do not know more than anybody else around you. You only stand to gain. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd actually add to that as well, in the you can be the student of yourself. Like you don't necessarily have to take lessons from anyone else or like the world and think to yourself, "Oh, I do this and I need to go take lessons on how to do this next thing." Sometimes it can just be changing what you do.
Sure.
To explore something else for like an hour, 2 hours.
Definitely.
Just to see what happens.
Definitely.
And again, like you're still a student. It's just you're training yourself essentially.
Yeah.
Just through accidents.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
It's crucial. You don't want to deprive yourself of learning a new process or a new skill, or so if you have that idea of in whatever context you're in, spend that half an hour and do it. What are you going to lose? You might gain an interesting new element of your process, or whatever the case might be for you.
Definitely. Yeah. No, that's generally good advice.
I think.
My last question is, who should I speak to next?
Who should you speak to next?
Because I'll speak to anybody, so it's one of those things. If you can recommend whoever you want, and I'll try and contact them. I can't promise anything.
God, that's so interesting. Let me.
My brother has a bad habit of recommending people who are like semi-celebrities, and then I reach out, and then they suddenly become major celebrities, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm ever getting that person.
Wow. Well, man.
He's done that a few times where he's just like, it usually happens with wrestlers as well. Like, he's like, you contact this indie wrestler, and I'm like, the week of contacting the indie wrestler, like signed by WWE, and I'm like,
man, you need to bring this guy on full time and just have him push you
like,
people, and
do
just
all these
jump
people.
on him.
Yeah.
Man. He's clearly got the eye for it. I would say you should interview. You should watch. This is not like a shameless plug. You should just like glance at my latest YouTube video of Kayla Milady. She is a 2-time world champion beatboxer.
I've already seen this video.
You've seen it.
I've seen this video.
Dude,
I follow you. This is what we do. Like,
this is what we do. I don't assume anything, man. I'm not like that whatsoever.
I like your work. I
In
follow
fact,
your work.
Those listening, don't look at my work. Don't do it. I don't want to know about it. No.
Just send him money.
Yeah. That's it. No. I mean, far be it for me to stop you.
Sure.
No, she's an amazing human being, dude.
Yeah.
You could talk for 8 hours with her and not feel a single moment of it passing by.
Nice.
She's so awesome. Highly recommend it. I can help connect, and she's always doing big things.
Happy to check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, again, with like guests, it's like I find this is how we connect with other people.
Yeah.
And I find that it's one of these things that I found start doing was just like, well, I know these interesting people who obviously know other interesting people.
Yeah.
Who obviously have passion and share passions.
For sure.
So we got to connect them all too.
We should talk off screen a bit more about how we can connect each other with interesting people. And also, I would just like to say formally on this podcast that I would like to welcome you for an interview on my series and get in front of my camera for a little bit of portrait interview action in a different way.
I will accept that invitation, even though it terrifies me.
Oh,
because it means you asking me about my work. And as we established earlier, I hate when people ask me about my work.
Well, who knows, man? Maybe we'll talk about something completely different. Maybe. You know, it can be whatever we want it to be. But I've got you committed on camera. On camera, that
I control the edit, but still.
What? No, don't cut this. No.
Well, yeah. Thank you for coming on, Mike.
Oh, it's my pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
We'll call it there. We'll talk to these guys later.
Cool.
All right. There we go. That'll be the end of that.
I won't touch. I'm not going to assume anything.
Nah, it's just...